ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the championship round finals of the $125,000 Earl Anthony Open, live from Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, located in Dublin, California. Looking for his first victory in the championship round, 29-year-old Dave Traber will start from the number 5 position today. Richmond, Indiana's Scott Devers will be shooting for his 5th career PBA title and his first victory of the '92 campaign. Fourth-year pro Mark Turney of Corpus Christi, Texas, is qualified in the middle of the stack, while Mike Shady, who came within 1 game of winning here a year ago, will start from the runner-up position. And after averaging .231.6 and winning 18 of 24 matches, Parker Bone III will need to win just 1 game, the title match, in order to claim $18,000 and his 6th professional title. Everybody, welcome to Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, the Earl Anthony PBA Open. And Scott Devers starts the championship round with a shot on lane 33. Championship pair, 33 and 34, high scores all week.
High scores all week. He better shoot high scores. You know, he's supposed to be in Hawaii, so.
Yeah. Hold off those honeymoons. You better come up with a victory. That's what Jacqueline is thinking at this point in time. Isn't that something? Yeah, they were supposed to be leaving today, as a matter of fact.
I don't know, is that a positive thing or is that Murphy's Law? I mean,
hey, that's positive. This is business, right?
Whatever you say.
Especially, whatever I say, right? The single guy talking to the guy that's been married, right? That makes a lot of sense. And a blistering strike for Dave Traber, who opens up with an X of his own on lane 34.
And Dave, who moved from 8th place to the top 5 last night in his final game, holds the ball up. 4-step player, kind of steps, hasn't pushed it, almost a 3-step delivery from this point. And let's watch the timing now as he hits the next to last step. The foot's down, the ball's still going up, so it's late timing. Muscles it through. Throws the ball very straight. It's very competitive, intense individual. Ooh, what a nice break. That was a 9-pin that fell into the 4.
Let up on the speed a little bit, it looked that time, but he ends up with a strike on the left-hand lane.
Watch the 9-pin. The ball drives through the 1-3. The 9 is standing. It falls forward into the 4. That doesn't happen very often, Dennis.
He'll take that break with a double. Now Devers will try and match. And it's a matter of inches. Look at that.
Right. He had the 10-pin trying to get the 6 out, but it wouldn't do it. Wobbled it, but not knocked it over.
Well, for Scott Devers, can't double to get things started, and we do have a very unusual situation presenting itself here this afternoon. Players are utilizing a ball return on the pair to the right of where they are participating.
And to the left. Whichever lane that they're on. The ball return on the championship pair 33 and 34. The motor overheated just before airtime and stopped working, so we're scrambling through here now. Let's see where his ball comes back, whether over on 35 and 6. No, it's coming back over on 31 and 2 as he walks over there to pick it up.
A little more exercise here this afternoon, but will that throw off any of the professionals?
Shouldn't.
Devers averaged .214 on this particular pair of lanes throughout the week. Dave Traber averaged .216.6.
Scott throwing the ball very straight, leaves a lot of weak 7s. Familiar with that from the other side.
Well, first corner pin for Scott Devers here in the championship round. I'm remembering back when Steffi shot 300. Jim Stephan had shot 300. What, at Mel's South Shore? Didn't they have to use an alternate lane there?
Yes, they did. They were using like lane 32 and 34.
Ooh. Something you don't see very often out of a very accurate player in Scott Devers.
Well, you know, you just said, will that affect him? And the fact that he you know, he's waiting for his ball on 33 and 4 and had to go over and get it on 31 and 2, came back. I think he did have a lapse in concentration that caused him to miss that spare. As you see it hooked by it on the right. Whoa, what a nice break. He was up 22 to begin with that. Now he's up 32.
Traber trips out the 2-pin and starts with the first 3, so he's had a couple of fortunate breaks to begin match number 1, the first of 11 PBA telecasts on ESPN this summer. And of course, for the first time in a long time, ESPN will also be airing the PBA Fall Tour. So we're Looking forward to that. Big lead for Traver early. And a quality shot there as his wife Melissa looks on, and so he has stormed to a huge lead.
And Scott, what do you say? I guess he's always got in the back of his mind, well, even if I lose, I just start my honeymoon a little sooner.
He's in a win-win situation, I think. Good quality shot there, a good comeback shot, and there's a good look at Jacqueline. But at this point in time, he needs a double just to kind of right himself, wouldn't you say?
Am I getting old then, or does she look exceptionally young?
You're getting old.
Oh, okay.
Either that or your eyes are getting a bit suspect. Probably a little bit of both. Huh?
Scott with that unusual swing that he has. Kind of loops it around, but comes through straight. Needs a strike.
Gets a good hit there. Comes back with a double. And cuts the lead to what, 32?
32, right.
Sounds a whole lot better than 42 or 52 at this stage.
Gave it a lot of room. Oh! Tell you what, he could be thinking about something with a couple more strikes.
Well, it's pretty obvious he's got a little area to the right. The ball will hook back. The question is, if you set a little short, what happens? It looks like it might hook early.
Sometimes the guy throwing the ball as straight as David Traver does, though, will have maybe just a pinch left where a guy that hooks it more like Pete Weber, who's keeping score for us, wouldn't have that.
Lane right now doing a lot of the work for Dave Traver. Good speed on that shot, and he starts with the first half dozen.
52-pin lead just right out of the gate, just like that. Look at this dead flush in the 1-3 pocket. The ball continuing to roll all the way through the pins.
And Dave Traver with a big-time lead here in match number 1 of the Earl Anthony PBA Open. Still could shoot 268, and he just might do that. Four-pin kicks out. Traver's got a little bit of everything going right now.
Well, that happens when you're ahead sometimes. It loosens up that swing. He seems to have the right approach, though. I mean, he's very businesslike right now. He just going about his business here to get this first match out of the way. He's going to go on to face Mark Turney, a bright young up-and-coming star on our PBA tour, making his second telecast.
And Mike Shady has qualified number 2, and Parker Bone the third is our top seed this week.
Wow, a flush 410. I'll tell you what.
How do you leave that in the pocket?
You have to have back ends that are really hooking. I think that for something like that to happen, just boom like that. Watch this. It looks just a little bit tight in the pocket. The 3-pin slides by the 10 on the right, and the 2-pin goes right around the 4.
Excellent start for Dave Traver, who shoots 255, and for Scott Devers, it'll be a 5th place finish here at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl. And of course, we'll have to wait to see what happens with Parker Bone the third, but a left-hander has never won a tournament in Earl's house.
Looks like that right lane is the difficult lane for the left-hander. We'll see how Parker fares on it a couple games down the road here.
Dejected and disappointed Scott Devers, who was hoping for a very big day. A little extra special wedding present, perhaps, that $18,000 first place check. But it's not to be. So it's Dave Traver who advances out of game number 1. And when we come back to Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, Mike Durbin with his first version of Average Builders, and he'll be joined by the great one, Earl Anthony. Terrific crowd on hand here at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, and the great one himself joins us up here in the booth for a few frames. Earl, nice to have you with us.
Nice to be with you, Danny.
And I have to ask you a quick question. How in the world could you own this bowling center and a left-hander has never won a tournament here?
Maybe this year, though. Parker Bone's bowling great.
Okay, he's the top seed.
Yeah, I like his chances. He's really throwing the ball well.
And he led by almost 300 pins, and he's ready for a victory, too. It's been a couple of years since he's won. Meanwhile, Dave Traber, who opened with 255, throws a pretty good shot, leaves a 4-pin.
They're tripping when you're 50 pins ahead. When you start the next match even, sometimes those 4 pins don't fall so easy.
Earl, do you remember any particular characteristics of this pair of lanes or this bowling center? How did you ever bowl when you were here?
Well, I'll tell you what. I used to come back off the off the tour and bowl in the scratch league we had here, which is a very strong league, and I was about 10th in average.
Wow.
I couldn't beat the guys here in the home house, but this particular end of the bowling center is normally the high scoring end. But of course, this is the PBA lane condition, so they're bowling on a lot different oil pattern than we bowled on in our leags.
Well, speaking of high scoring, this man has averaged 258 on this pair, so he evidently likes it.
Well, he hasn't shot many spares in, right?
If he throws it like that, he'll continue to shoot a few spares.
I like his game. It's real solid. His balance is good at the foul line. He gets the ball well out in front of him. Those long arms help a lot.
You mentioned you like his game. I said the same thing last night. I haven't seen too much of Mark Turney over the last couple of years, but Mike Durbin said he's the kind of guy that is not getting a lot of respect in terms of exposure, but he's a wonderful player.
And he's an up-and-coming player. He made the telecast earlier this year in Cleveland, won 2 games. He beat Dave Ferraro and Del Ballard, 2 pretty good bowlers, before he finally lost to Steve Cook, who went on to win the tournament.
Another good shot. I'll tell you one thing I like right now is the reaction of the bowling ball.
The lane condition is excellent. It's conducive to high scores as it's been all week. And here's another look at his game from the side. And as you can see, watch the good extension, the good balance of the foul line, how well he gets the ball out in front, and he chases it with his hand. That's what creates that real strong rotation and the good back end. He's got very good fundamentals. Don't you agree, Mike?
Well, what I liked was how far the ball went down the lane before it started making a turn. When it made a turn to the pocket, it was just like sucked into the 1-3 hole.
A lot of energy on the ball.
I have a physical question for you guys. If we get a strike here and we don't, with the longer arms, does that give you a tendency to get the ball down the lane easier further?
I think you create a longer flat spot at the bottom of the swing, and I think that's very important for direction. What it gives you is more direction and more time to keep your fingers in the ball after your thumb is released. So you get direction and more hit in the back end, and that's a big advantage.
So for Traber, first look at a 10-pin here in the championship round. Started with the first 6 strikes as he disposed of Scott Devers in game number 1, 255 to 188. So tell us what you've been up to, Earl. I know that you've been playing some golf.
Been playing a lot of golf, Denny. We have a new club up in Oregon where I live, 36 holes, Pumpkin Ridge, and it's an excellent facility. I feel the best in the Northwest, if not the best in the West Coast. And I'm really looking forward for the other 18 to open up and you guys come up and play some golf with me. You got to give me about 4 aside, I think, and Mike and I'll play even.
Yeah, this spoken for by a 4 handicapper, right? Yeah.
Notice how he nudged you right into that deal, Mike. Didn't want to leave you out. Well, you know, the other thing that's interesting, too, now you look at these 2 players, and I'll throw this out to both of you guys. One guy is probably crossing 20 boards and striking. And then you look at Traber, who was probably cutting that in half, 10 boards, and he's doing nothing but hit the pocket.
And, Mike, I think that's the pattern of dressing on the lanes. It's what you might call a Christmas tree effect, and what that does is put a lot of oil in the first 15 feet, and then it's tapered down toward the head pin. And when that happens, you can play anywhere on the lane based on your game. What you do is pick what feels best for you for your game.
Ooh, the rollout shot left the 4-9. Did you see that ball just roll out of the pocket? Still left the 4-9. What I think it speaks of, though, Denny, also is it's a tribute to the PBA lane maintenance crew that guys that throw the ball so extremely different can both score and be competitive, have a chance to win the tournament.
Yeah, if you take a look at the top 5, Parker Bone, he's got to be considered like a power stroke type player. He crosses a lot of boards, and Scotty Devers doesn't much at all on the left side. Okay.
So you have a big variety there, even on the left side. So.
Mike, you mentioned something interesting as Turney cannot convert the 4-9. You said that the PBA has changed its philosophy in terms of what it does on television day with a pair of lanes, especially the last 15 feet.
Well, what the PBA is trying to do is to give the players a scoring environment on the television show, and there was a little trouble earlier this year, so they cleaned the last 15 feet of the lanes about 15 minutes before airtime. And what happens is that all the carry down that the ball uses during that time has happened at that point in time, and the guys have a pretty even reaction for the telecast. And you give these guys that kind of reaction, they're going to score.
Nice comeback shot for Turney, who obviously has to be a little bit upset with the fact that he left the 4-9 on a shot that he probably felt was pretty good.
Well, it was pretty good. He just got a terrible bad break.
Traber, meanwhile, goes back to work on a strike, leading by 5, so a double here puts him up by 15.
And the old unwritten rule on the PBA Tour, when your opponent opens, the other guy comes back and doubles. Just like that.
Earl's nodding. You did that to a few players in your time, didn't you?
And I've had it done to me many times also, Danny.
Yeah.
He never opened. What are you talking about?
Jeez. Yeah, you've seen the
boy.
other side of that, haven't you?
I have. I've seen it a lot of times. And Mike said it well. It's almost like an unwritten rule. If you make a mistake, they jump on you. You can expect it. You do expect it. You just feel you just lost not only the Open, but maybe another 20 pins.
Of course, for those of you who don't realize this, too, this is not the only bowling center that you own, right, Earl?
Danville, just about 10 miles up the road, 24-laner. And we have a tournament like this going here. We just put our bowlers up at Danville, and they're happy, and we're happy.
Boy, that works out nice. So Traber comes back. Very solid professional game at this point in time. Now let's see if Turney can wrestle some of that momentum back.
He's got to. Right now, you know, he was cruising along, even though it was only the 3rd frame, but now he's almost in a must-strike situation because Traber is really locked in.
Be interesting to see if he makes any kind of an adjustment or if he feels he made a bad shot there.
Key question for both of you guys. What's the difference between a flush hit like that and a 4-9 or a 6-8 in your case, Earl?
Well, to me, the ball is rolling equally well on both shots. One, you're just a hair short at the point of release, and it makes the ball finish high in the pocket. The ball's cutting through when you leave that kind of a split.
It's just, you're talking maybe a ½ inch at 60 feet, Denny. It's just so minute. You know, they're both good shots. One's just a bad break.
Turney could cut the lead back to 5 if he strikes here.
Stroke that pretty.
Set up again.
Shot.
This week on the special demolition cheap seats, we're not.
WIBC Vice President Elaine Hagan was on hand a little earlier today here at Earl's Dublin Bowl to present him with a marvelous plaque, because Earl is the BVL honorary co-chairman, and Earl, his role with BVL has been one of great success. He's helped that program out considerably as he travels to VA hospitals throughout the country and gave away some bowling balls this past year and helped the VA vets with their bowling games, spent some time with them, and it's people like Earl that really you can count on in situations like that.
Well, I think Earl's learned something, you know, that some people learn early in their lives and other people learn later in their lives, is giving back, whether it's to the community, to your church, to your family, to your sport, to your job. You know, that there is a principle there that we need to learn. You got to give back.
Well, this one's turned into a strike fest, as we had kind of suspected. The players have averaged almost 230 on this pair of lanes.
And David doesn't want to give back. He just wants to.
Yeah, at this point in time, he's trying to be selfish, and up stands that solid 10-pin, so the string stops.
And what I noticed about Traber is the last few frames, you know, you haven't seen that ball leak to the right at all. He's been going more direct and more direct. I would sense that that's his tendency under pressure. He throws it basically straight anyway. Then under pressure, the line would get tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's what happens. The speed gets a little greater, solid 10.
Okay. And for Turney, it might be the opposite. He's probably going to want to go further right with the ball.
Exactly right.
Because we all have our own tendencies, especially under pressure. You're always going to revert back to what you feel most comfortable with.
Exactly.
In your case, it was going pretty straight.
Absolutely.
Because you couldn't hook
the
it.
high, hard one.
Well, it worked pretty well. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm impressed with his game. He's really comfortable right now.
Oh, I'll tell you what, he has just executed 7 pretty shots right here. You know, that 4-9 is just, like I say, just a bad break, but you know, he could have them all. 4 pins the difference. Look at that shot inside the 3rd row, out to maybe 7th or 8th board, and back flush. I could never, I mean, even if I could hook it that much, I could never bowl like that. 5-step, holds the ball. Now, we were talking about the head and shoulders going forward like Earl Anthony does. That's what he does. See, the head and shoulders are in front of the knee here. Shoulder high backswing. Now he brings it back up here, but see how he's extended out, and he kind of forces the ball with his strength in the upper body through the head area of the lane.
That's way right. Missed and got lucky that the 10-pin didn't stand along with the 2 and the 8.
And it's his first errant shot of the game, and has a difficult spare.
And he missed right.
And he missed right. He missed right, Denny, but he didn't release it like he wanted to release it. That was not a clean release.
Mark with one PBA regional title to his credit. Goal is to win, head to the Firestone Tournament of Champions, and get to make a trip to the PBA press room.
Nice conversion.
Hooked it quite a bit at that conversion, didn't he?
Well, a lot of guys play that off of their strike line, Tim, because you know what the ball's going to do there. And he does just that. Gives it a lot of room. Watch the ball quit right at the end, though. The old rollout shot even for the spare. 2 frames to go, 6 pins the difference.
A little more speed.
Oh, he is lined in. I'm telling you what, this guy is just wired.
Shot 255 in game number 1.
He's got a strike here, though, Dan, or Turney could strike out and shut him out.
He could shoot 258 this game. Mike Shady next in line, and Parker Bowden III, our top seed this week.
Big shot for David right here.
Blisters. It looked like that ball hung on his hand just a fraction, although maybe he's trying to loft it more on the left-hand lane. I'm not sure.
He seems to throw a lot of shots like that where it doesn't seem to quite get off perfectly clean. But what's interesting, that even that slightly errant shot winds up in the 1-3 pocket.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, his game is throwing it at the 1-3. He's not going to spend much time missing the pocket. So for Mark Turney, he's in a position now where if he wants to advance into the next game, he can get the job done.
Right. If he strikes in the 9th and all 3 in the 10th, he can finish with 242, and the best that Traber can get now is 238. So his fate is in his own hands.
Big strapping right-hander from Corpus Christi, Texas. In his second appearance in the championship round.
He didn't like it when he let it go. The cameraman, he's looking at that cameraman with daggers in his eyes. He thinks that he moved and distracted him as he let it go.
Caught him in about, what, step 4?
Yep.
Well, now what you have to do is put that behind you, make the spare, and hope that you can finish the 10th strong and hang on.
Straight at the 1-pin spare, and a glare again.
Traber picks up the strike ball and heads back over to the championship round pair. Now if he strikes out, it's 231, but the bad news is Dave Traber can go right by him.
Still in the match, though. You never know what's going to happen. He's got to regroup.
Needs some help, and
oh, what a break!
He gave up on the shot, and guess what? The messenger came late, but better late than never.
I have no idea what pin that was that hit it. We're going to take a look. Let's watch the head pin. Usually it's that one. It goes left. It comes back, it hits the 4. Watch that 4 pin. It's going to be the 4. It rolls around. The head pin hit the 4, and the 4 rolled over there and got the 10 in slow motion.
Fans reacting to that slow motion replay. Meanwhile, back to live action. Another one makes the 10th frame very interesting, and for Turney it doesn't quite happen.
He got unnerved and couldn't get it back together, and we've seen you know that happens in all athletics. So much of sports endeavor is the battle is inside your head.
Very tough break for Mark Turney, who appeared to be on his way to maybe shutting out Dave Traber. And you can look at this from the other side of the coin. If you're Traber, you're looking for a break to maybe extend and get into the next match. Who knows, he may even win his first title today, and if he wins it, that'll be one of the breaks.
Yeah. All he wanted was for Turney to not strike somewhere. He gave that one more room, and it comes back. I mean to tell you, he's got 2 or 3 boards on this right lane. He sends it right, and it comes back. And if he goes right down the boards, it just holds pocket.
Tell you what I liked about that shot was it was a very aggressive shot where he gave the ball a little more room. Slows up on the speed, but it doesn't make any difference.
Not at this point in time.
So Dave Traber wins his second match, and his next opponent now will be Mike Shady. And Traber, I think, would have to be feeling pretty comfortable now on this particular pair of lanes because he's thrown a lot of strikes.
He's going to throw some more, too, Dan.
Yeah, good point. Tough break for Mark Turney, but Traber moves on. And we'll be back with more of the championship round finals of the Earl Anthony PBA Open momentarily.
Shady looking on. Nothing he can do except watch.
Again, now watch this one. The thumb goes down, and there's a little break in the elbow, but he hung up again in that shot.
Did you see his hand? He indicated that the exact same thing that you said. Let's watch. The thumb goes down. He's behind it here. And not out of it clean and left. You know, he's trying to hit a little right of that second arrow, and that's the first errant shot to give Shady hope. Looking at that target, he's behind the ball here. Starts turning down about now. Too soon. He's over the top of the ball here, and the thumb and the fingers basically at the same time. Left of target, trouble all the way.
Always going to be left when that thumb goes down early. Shady needs to take advantage.
A little rollout shot there, too.
Got to believe that's the biggest shot of the week for him.
Well, the next one, he can put himself right back in the match. In fact, he can take the lead by a pin with a strike here.
And after starting with a gutter ball, that's got to be a pretty good feeling. Stay out here long enough, you'll see it all, right?
That's true. You'll probably do it all if you're good enough.
Yeah. To take the lead. And he does. You see that rollout?
Serious rollout there, I'll tell you what.
All right, now when you say rollout, well, we'll develop that when we come back. In other words, the ball doesn't keep hooking through the pocket. It sets up, stops, and makes them disappear as Shady has come a long way back to lead. Tight match here in the semifinal. Traber down by 1. He hasn't been behind much this afternoon.
Well, it's still basically an even match. He just needs to regroup. Just like that. Big shot coming up, though, on this left lane, because that 4-6 definitely put a little doubt in his mind, you know, and he's saying to himself, well, is it the lane? Was it me? I think it was me. I'll stay in the same place. The old rule is you don't adjust for a bad shot. Stay in the same place, make a better shot, see what happens.
No, his shot's not rolling out.
No, his shot's not rolling out. See, the ball wants to spin left as it's going down the lanes. Then it precesses or turns on its axis to the right a little bit and goes into a heavy roll. When it rolls out, it's used up all of its energy, and he gets that 4-pin again.
Woo! Clipping should be the call on lane 33. But both these players playing different angles, using different rolls to try and get the job done.
Right. See, Traber's ball skids much further down the lane as we watch the 2-pin go to the sideboard, come back and get both the 4 and the 7, and the neck of that 2-pin got the 4.
And this match is neck and neck. Shady likes it, and rightfully so. A super shot on lane 34.
1 pin the difference. 3 frames to go. If both bowlers took it out the sheet, it'd be 256 to 255. So we'll see what happens.
Marilyn and Ted Hoffman. Of course, Ted Hoffman, the PBA's Western Regional Director and PBA Hall of Famer. He and Marilyn have done an outstanding job for many, many, many years hosting PBA events.
And it's May, and they're in their Christmas colors.
Yeah. What a great job they do here at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl. Oh, Shady loosens up, decides to dice up the rack a little bit.
That's the first real pressure now that he's put on Traber. Because Traber, as Shady just comes in light and destroys the 5 into the 7. The eyes He's really said to Traber, you got to strike now.
More speed. Oh! A tomahawk of the 9-pin. Oh, he almost got the worst break of the week.
This is like two guys just whacking one another, and sooner or later somebody's going to crumble. As the head pin comes off the sideboard and gets the 9, he says, strike that. But Traber, the biggest shot of the week for him right now is right now. 9th frame, he's got to have this one. Perfect. Did you see the nice room and stroke? That was off his hand clean.
Stayed behind that shot much better than he did previously.
Well, he kind of comes over the top on all shots. It was just clean and smooth and not forced at all. Right at that second arrow, no early hook here and no chance for anything to stand.
Flush City for Traber. Now let's see if Shady can answer the challenge here in the 9th. Inside his target.
Boy, to that whole pocket. Woo! No roll out there. You see the difference? That ball hit the oil, went down and made a small move at the back end. When it goes wide, it's rolling out right at the 1-3 pocket. The only way he's going to get trouble is if he throws it too slow. Boy, he didn't miss his foot by much that time either. Did you see that, Dan?
I also want to know if he tugged that or if he changed angles a little bit.
He tugged it.
I believe so.
I will guarantee you he tugged it.
Yep. I'd like to tug 3 more just like that one, too. He leads by 1.
Now 11. If he strikes it out, he can't lose. We could have a tie.
All right. Sounds good to me. That's what Traber's hoping for right now.
Traber's just hoping he doesn't strike somewhere.
Right.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway.
A strike here in 9 would force a possible tie. 2 strikes, and Shady's right where he was a year ago at this time in the title match.
And to come back with a chance to shoot 250 after opening up with a gutter ball is shows a little character.
Good roll. And the break is not there. So Shady succumbs a little to the pressure. Now it's up to Traber to get the job done.
But Traber's going to have 2, Dan.
Cut that one off a little short, wouldn't you say?
It was a pretty quality shot under that kind of pressure. I mean, just maybe a hair, a little more extension, a little more force through the ball in the lane. He would have been flush, but it was in the 1-3.
Can't say enough about that comeback performance, though. After a disastrous opening frame, Shady puts together a beautiful semifinal game, and now he just has to sit and watch.
And if I were a betting man, I would definitely bet that this guy will hit the pocket. No time.
Oh, hits the pocket, and after tripping the 4 for 3 games, this time it's silent. And for Dave Traber, it's going to be a 3rd place finish, and Mike Shady will advance into the title match
For the 2nd consecutive year.
Terrific performance today by Dave Traber, but he comes up 1 shot shy. When we return, it's Parker Bone III and that young man right there, Mike Shady, looking to win his first ever PBA title. Parker Bone III and Mike Shady, the only 2 players left vying for the title here at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, and the top seed will start the match.
He's 5-1 from this position.
That's really a rarity in today's contemporary game. Parker comes out, slaps the 6 around, and also made the 7 disappear, so the top seed starts with an X.
You know, and the only time he lost, he shot 247 and got beat. So he doesn't seem to be intimidated by that position.
He loves to bowl from the top seed spot.
Loves it.
Mike Shady, who really overcame some adversity in game number 1 to a gutter ball, had a 6 count and went on to defeat Dave Traber. And he doesn't get the fortunate carry and leaves a split here in the opening frame.
Right out, he says, well, I have to start this way every time.
Hard not to be disappointed, but you can see it's written all over his face.
Well, in a situation like this, the first frame, you know, at the 410, you got to go for it then. I mean, you just try and clip that 4-pin on the left and slide it across. It can be done. It's probably about an 8 or 9 to 1 shot, but it can be done.
A little straighter. And you aren't going to make it hitting right in the fourth.
No, not too often.
Maybe Joe Berardi in the days we used to throw at 35 miles an hour, but
That's not the way he wanted to start the match, but he didn't want to start with a gutter ball last game and overcame that.
maybe he just needs an open frame to kickstart.
Well, you know, when you're in the midst of a heated match, the adrenaline's going, the speed picks up a little bit. In between, you settle back down, and then speed reduces just a hair.
Gave us plenty of room and ends up with a strike. Yeah, I think the speed was a little bit better on the second shot than it was on the first.
And if he starts striking, it will increase. And he really can't throw it too hard because his ball's rolling out anyway. He's going to wind up in the pocket.
Parker Bone with 5 professional titles. Average 236 on this pair of lanes. He gives it plenty of room. And that was a very classy shot there. A confident shot from the top seat.
And interesting, you know, this is the lane that gave Scott Devers trouble, and Parker picked to finish on it. Classic style here. Pushes and steps right at the same time. Head is steady. Into the pendulum swing. Back is slightly forward, but somewhat upright. High swing over his head. Watch the deep, deep knee bend and a long, long slide. Boy, just a perfect form, in balance all the way through. See that left foot come way over to the right there.
Plenty of roll here, and actually too much. 6-8 is the answer on lane 33.
And just as David Traber gave an opening to, as Mary Bone looks on, gave an opening to Mike Shady, Parker Bone does here. This was the undoing of Mark Turney. He had the 4-9. See it hit a little bit tight. Cuts right through. Boy, that ball didn't even get close to the 8-pin.
A little wiggle of the 6, but that didn't really get the job done. Parker with a little more speed. Oh, classy shot by Parker Bone, who's fired up after making the 6.
All right, does that fire him up? You know it? See what that does to Shady now. Hard and straight, clips it on the right. Perfect. His reaction. You read lips?
Oh, yes. Told me he's come so close to winning over the last year and a half and just hasn't been able to get the job done. Shady bounces back with a solid shot on lane 34.
And just nice speed. You know, as long as he keeps that speed up, he's in the pocket.
Shady trailing by 9, but he's got the double up on the board now.
And the strike takes the lead. See, the bowler always knows that too, Dan. I mean, even he can't see the score or anything else. Most of the time, they got a computer going on in their head. They're the best mathematicians in the world.
Parker disposing of a piece of tape, so that would mean that the thumb might be swelling up a little bit. Shady for 3.
Oh, the messenger.
Relax. It's only the 4th frame.
I get excited.
I know you do, especially when you see that head pin flying around.
I never saw that. Watch this head pin like a bullet goes to the sideboard, comes back off that kick back there. And the 10 pin never had a chance.
Looked like Bobo Brazil off the ropes, didn't it? Oh, my. A little extra room with that shot, and he's shaking his head. Man, 4-pin just whistled around the 7th.
Well, at 45 feet, it was none. I mean, it was
45
hanging
feet,
on
it's on the 1 board.
It was hanging on the edge at 45 feet.
Well, you take a look at the rest of that record in the championship round. If you subtract 5 and 1 from the top seed position,
he's had trouble,
to say the least.
Well, he hasn't won since the fall of 1990 when he won the Milwaukee ABC tournament up in Milwaukee.
All he has to do is think back a year ago in the semifinal game. He bowled his lowest game ever career-wise in the championship round against Mike Shady. The final 226 to 143
on this pair of lanes.
Shady with the hammer. He has the string, and meanwhile Parker needs to get back on track.
Classy bowler Parker is. He's 28. Shady's 26. You know what the sad part of that is, Dan? Is that together they're only 3 years older than I am. So.
And I'd take them over you, I think, probably at this point.
Well, probably at this point.
You know, I'd like
be
to
a
stick
safe
with
bet.
you, but I think I'm going to bail out a little.
Oh, he just starts throwing it better and better and better.
Mike Shady, 3 years of professional. He said he was on a 3-year program.
Well, you know, the difference here, though, is that the one bowler down there knows that he can win, and the other bowler just thinks that he can win. So Shady hasn't done it yet. He can always have 12 pins working on 4 in a row.
Yeah, you've seen a lot happen through the years after the midway point in a title match.
He's carrying everything, though, Dan. He's not leaving anything.
An explosion on the left-hand lane off the hand of Mike Shady.
As it comes in light, he gives it so much room. Sometimes you'll leave a 10-pin on this hit. Not a chance. But he's put Parker in a must-strike situation here.
Oh, no break, no carry. 7-pin stands, and Parker kind of head down, heads back to shoot the spare.
And his messenger came off the sideboard. The head pin came off, and in front of the 7-pin, missed it where Shady got his. Watch the head pin, Dan. It goes to the right. It comes off. It kind of turns in midair. If it hadn't turned, it would have got the 7-pin.
That shot was industrial strength. A head pin ricocheting off the wall, but not getting the job done. Parker has yet to miss the pocket. You have to have the carry. And he does miss the pocket for the first time, and that's a major league opening for Mike Shady.
Wow, and that's what he did when he bowled that 140 game against Shady on this pair of lanes last year. A 3.97 or 3.79. Watch the release. See if we see anything. Boy, even his bad shots look good. It just, I couldn't see anything that he did wrong. It just didn't finish like it had before. He's going to throw hard at the 2 pins and hope for the best. 8 out. Mr. Shady is staring right now with a couple of strikes here at his very first title.
A trip to the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Stepping into the PBA winner's circle. This is every player's dream at the professional level, to win a national tournament.
He's putting the stamp of approval on it, that's for sure.
He's got the whole lane on 34.
You know, we have a scoreboard, Dan, as we see his reaction to this shot. See that follow through right? Whistle past his ear. Yeah. And in each block, your scores are put up. The names are put up, the non-champions in red, champions in black. And, you know, it's a small thing, but his name is going to change from red to black after this week.
6 in a row, and he's taken a 47-pin lead. He has this title firmly in grasp. And the hands are raised. You're right, Michael. He knows that his time has come out here on the national tour.
This crowd knows it too, as they are sharing in his excitement.
Parker Bone knows it as well. What a disappointing finish to a brilliant bowling week when you average better than 230 and lead a tournament by almost 300 pins and you lose. Well, the top seed on the PBA tour is now going to have lost 14 times and 17 tries. Just finished up doing the ladies last Thursday night, and I'm going to say off the top of my head the top seeds are 2 and 12 out there.
Says something about something, doesn't it?
Says you better qualify second or lower.
And yet, if you ask anybody out here, they'd all rather qualify first.
It's a question of economics. Parker Bone, back-to-back outstanding performances here at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl, and it will continue. No left-hander to win at Earl Anthony's Bowling Center.
Right.
Earl was as puzzled as we were when we asked him that.
Maybe he needs to come out of retirement.
I'm going to say the great one is not up for that. Well, oohs and ahs, but for Mike Shady. You remember what it felt like when you won your first title. How long did it take you to win, Mike?
I won my first year out of the 10th tournament. Yeah, so but it was a tremendous thrill. You never forget it. It's like your first kiss or whatever, or your first hit in a baseball game, or your first home run or something. You never forget it.
It's been hard earned too for Shady. He's had a couple of opportunities. Was defeated by John Mazza. Lost here to Del Ballard last year. He's been knocking on the door.
And he seems well in line with his 3-year program, you know, that win by a certain time, and he's done it. Now he needs to step up those goals a little bit for the next 3 years.
I think the thing that's a real positive, too, is the approach in terms of getting in better shape physically and doing the things that you have to do to compete on a weekly basis out here, trying to improve your game, not only from the mental side, but from the physical side.
Well, he's been to see a sports psychologist. He's working on the mental side, as you said, the physical side, everything.
It's what you have to do to compete out here anymore, though. There's too much talent. Ringing 10, but it won't make any difference. It looks like a sigh of relief than it does jubilation on his part.
Well, the jubilation, I think, came 2 frames ago, you know, when he really realized that, you know, it was going to happen.
Mike Shady will have to get directions now to Fairlawn, Ohio. They'll be heading to the Firestone Tournament of Champions in April. And that in itself a special thrill for any young professional.
Comes up and shoots back-to-back 240 games with opens in the first frame both times.
Mike Shady wins his first ever PBA title.